After the fall of Adam and Eve, the first thing we learn about God's love is that he is determined to save us. On the day that they sinned, Jesus offered his life in exchange for not only Adam and Eve, but for all of us. He promised that one day Messiah himself would come and that he would give his life in exchange for theirs. And the God who does not lie and the God who cannot change promised that he would save all of us from our sin. For the next 4,000 years, God's determination to keep that promise is the story of the Old Testament. Everything that God does from that moment on is about keeping his promise to save us. You see, the war that God is fighting is not to seek and destroy, it is to seek and to save. And the great thing about God is that he's not going to allow anything to stop him. When evil and violence threatened to wipe out humanity, God put a stop to that evil with a flood. Next, we see God making a deal with a man by the name of Abraham. Why? Because God wanted a family on earth that God himself would be born into. And as a part of that deal, God promised Abraham that he would give him a home and a country that he and his family could live in. A promised land, if you will. From that location, God would share his law of love with the entire world. He would set up a temple, a place of prayer for all people. And from that temple, the entire world would see how exactly it was that God would save the human race. And if you looked carefully enough, and if you paid attention, our salvation was tied to the forgiveness and the removal of our sin. It was all there. The sinner brought a lamb. He would climb on top of the lamb, confess his sins over the lamb, and then he would take a knife and cut the lamb's throat. It was there. The price of our forgiveness is that it would cost Jesus his life. And as the lesson points out, because of Jesus, our sins would be forgiven and removed. But more than that, in exchange, God the Father would give to us a great gift, the righteousness and holiness of Jesus. So not only did you walk away forgiven, you walked away flawless. All you had to do was to go to the temple and you could see for yourself how God was going to keep his promise to Adam and Eve. Jesus would give his life in exchange for ours. Jesus is so determined to save us that right now he's up in heaven and he's still offering us his life in exchange for ours. He offered it to Adam and Eve and he's offering it to us. And it's how we win the war. Well, that was our nugget for today. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you tomorrow.